The most common question I get asked is how I mount miniatures to these little paint stands for painting in the videos. And yeah, if you look on a lot of videos, you'll see hot glue gun answered in there somewhere. So yeah, I'm finally doing a video on this, so now hopefully people will stop having to ask me. Yeah, right, that's not happening. But anyway, here we go. So the point is this is to have a paint stand, so when you're painting the miniature, it's better than holding the miniature to paint it, so you don't get fingerprints all over and get paint on your hands and have your fingers rub off paint. So paint stand's very helpful for getting around the miniature and keeping it untouched as you paint it. First of all, the stands themselves, the ones I use most often are these. These are just very old Ral Partha paint pots. I just use them because they're convenient. I can fill them up with a weight. This one has some BBs in it to make it a bit more bottom heavy, so it's a bit more sturdy. You don't have to use this. I mean, you could use anything to glue your miniatures onto these. I mean, different size paint pots or wooden blocks you can use, or I mean, I'm sure if you look around your house somewhere, you'll find things that you can use. So this is not important. You don't need to go out and try to find some old out of production Ral Partha paint pots, but it's what I have. And I use different size ones for larger miniatures. This is another very old out of production paint. I think it was called Magic Wand. But anyway, so you got your stand, you got your miniature, and the other main ingredient is a hot glue gun, which is wrapped around a drawer. There we go. So this is my Little Princess hot glue gun, which I pulled the label off that said Little Princess. If you're a little embarrassed by having a Little Princess hot glue gun, all you have to do is just pull off the label and then not tell your 9,000 subscribers that you have a Little Princess hot glue gun. The point is, you don't need to go to Home Depot and get some industrial strength hot glue gun for like 30 bucks. I bought this, I don't know, long time ago, and for like 8 bucks or something from a craft store. So a cheap little craft store one is perfectly fine. So we plug it in, you let it warm up for a few minutes, about 5 minutes. Take your miniature, just a little dab will do you. There's always more comes out than you want. And just quickly put the miniature down. Try to leave a little gap between the bottom and the paint stand. You don't want to slam it all the way down, because it'll make it easier getting it off later. And it'll take a second for the glue to dry up. There we go. And there's always a few strands that come off hot glue. So it takes a minute to dry or something like that. And while that's drying, I'll just say a lot of people like to use poster tack, which I have some here. I've used it a couple times, a long time ago, and I never liked it because it adds a little bit of bounce to the figure, and I had a few pop off. So, you know, a couple times after your figure crashes and hits and scratches and breaks. Yeah, I don't use this stuff anymore. But there you go. So it's on now. You can see it's not going anywhere. Now, to get it off, once you're done painting it, transition effect there, it's all painted. Look, I painted it all black. How I did this in the past was I have a little craft knife here. This is a very old and extremely dull knife. You don't want to use something sharp. And I'll just put it underneath the base and then kind of cut through and then pry it off. If it was a bit too difficult to pry off, you can also warm up the blade, like putting it next to an incandescent light bulb for a minute or two, and it'll slice right through the hot glue. It's not really safe, I will admit. However, one of my viewers recently pointed out a really cool trick. Get yourself some rubbing alcohol, ordinary rubbing alcohol, And this works best with a little pipette. This is a very fine needled pipette I got in my hobby store. You can use a brush too, but this is very handy. We're just going to get a little bit in pipettes. Remember, we left a little gap. So, and I don't know the chemical reaction here, but somehow the rubbing alcohol breaks up the bond between the rubber cement and whatever it's stuck to. So you may have to wait a couple seconds for it to flow everywhere, and get out your little knife or whatever have you. And it pops off so much easier now that you use the rubbing alcohol. And before the rubbing alcohol, this I would just kind of try to cut flat like that. Again, not very safe. So once again, we'll get some of the rubbing alcohol. Let that soak in for a minute. Let's get something a little bit safer here. One of my cheapy wax carving tools. And it just peels right up. No way you can do this without using the rubbing alcohol. And this has a little groove in the bottom of the base, so this particular figure a little harder to get off than the others, but still all of it comes off nice and clean, like it was never there. And so now you just have to let the rubbing alcohol dry and then paint the edges of your base, and you're ready to go. So that's it. Paint pot, whatever you have, not too important. Hot glue gun, craft store, under 10 bucks. And for safety, rubbing alcohol and some sort of prying device. Again, you can go with this, but not entirely safe. Watch your fingers. I've cut myself numerous times doing this the old-fashioned way before discovering this. So that is it.